Hello everybody, John12 back here again, and it's Monday, and you know that means obviously another top 5 list from yours truly. Now, of course, as I stated last week, when I was doing my top 5 dedication to the great and masterful Wes Craven, who of course unfortunately died, it was originally supposed to be my Wonder Woman top 5, and of course, if you do not know what I'm doing here, essentially, I've been doing Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice top 5 list on my channel for some time now for hype and of course anticipation, my immense anticipation for the movie itself, which will be coming out pretty early next year. And obviously, I've been keeping it to just a Batman and Superman basis, but now I decided to include Wonder Woman in these top 5s because she, regardless if you love or hate Gal Gadot, she's a part of this movie, and she's our Wonder Woman. She's Diana, so it's one of those things that you just have to get over with. But that being said, she will be included with these top 5s. Now, even with that, just in case, for those who are wondering, like, she won't be included with every single top 5, because obviously, because Batman and Superman have had more limelight, unfortunately, more limelight in mainstream media with video games, cartoons, multiple actors, and of course movies and TV, they've had more time to really have people really enjoy a lot of things about them. Wonder Woman hasn't had that, so of course if there comes a time where I do a list on Batman and or Superman that Wonder Woman cannot be a part of, she will not be a part of it, of course. But once again, she is having her own movie, which will be coming out 2017 if I'm not mistaken, and of course they're going in production this November, if I'm not mistaken. So there's tons of hardcore Wonder Woman anticipation out there, and I'm pretty sure by the time we get closer to BVS and past BVS, and once we start heading towards Wonder Woman territory, there's just going to be tons of Wonder Woman content out there by then. So I'm pretty sure there'll be tons of stuff to make top 5s dedicated to her. But that being said, let's get into this top 5. Of course, with the trend of the top 5s I've done so far, I did top 5 Batman suits, top 5 Superman suits. Now it's time to get into top 5 Wonder Woman suits. And what that means is essentially I'll be choosing specific outfits worn by the specific character in this top 5, specifically from the comic books. I won't be choosing suits from the cartoons or video games or movie, well, not really movies, but or her future concept movies like the Gal Gadot suit or the Linda Carter suit. No, I'll specifically only be choosing suits and outfits from the comic book canon and or of course Elseworld stories, Otherworld stories, specifically just anything that's been featured in a comic book and created specifically for a comic book will be featured on this list. But that being said, let's get into this list. Top 5 Wonder Woman suits. As always, it's a subjective opinion. It's a subjective list. It's my personal favorite concept suits. So of course, if my list differs from yours, in the comment section below, give me your top 5 Wonder Woman suits. But that being said, let's get in this list. And coming up at number 5 is a more recent suit, and that has to go down to DC's Bombshells Wonder Woman. Now, of course, DC Bombshells isn't really that old of a fucking concept, obviously. It's very recent. There's only like a couple of, like less than a handful of issues that are out now. But for me personally, when I think of Wonder Woman, I always think of her kind of like Captain America. I always see her as a specific period piece superhero character. She's a golden age kind of character, and I guess that has a lot to do with the fact that DC isn't really used her to her full potential the same way they do Batman and or Superman. So she hasn't had the time to really evolve and be and kind of modernize her. I mean, they've done a pretty decent job over the course of the last couple years, but overall, when I think of her, I always think of her as a specific era-esque character, and DC Bombshells is all about era. It's all about vintage versions of female superheroes. They have Batwoman, Supergirl, Batgirl, Mara from Aquaman. They've done vintage versions of all these DC Bombshells female characters, and they did justice to Wonder Woman. Her outfit is just awesome. It's just a very nice throwback to the 40s of female empowerment, and of course, you know, you just have this really awesome fun attitude to Wonder Woman that she doesn't really have a lot with the more modern version of her. But that being said, I know it's a more recent version of the character, but I personally like and enjoy the design. Moving off of that, going to number 4 on this list has to go to Flashpoint. Flashpoint was an amazing story that pretty much changed the DC universe for the relaunch of DC's New 52, which of course is now dead, and now we have a new canon. It's kind of weird how DC loves destroying the universes and creating another canon, but whatever, that's a discussion for another time. Flashpoint was an amazing storyline, all about the Flash and the rest of the DC universe, and what could have been if things just went completely haywire and the DC universe that we all know and love was completely changed. Wonder Woman is no exception. She is the complete opposite of her normal canon version, and obviously she is a complete badass chick in this fucking story and specific series, and her outfit definitely shows that. She's kind of like a fusion of like a medieval warrior meets a pirate, and I love the fact that she has a helmet from Mera. Of course, if you've read the Flashpoint storyline, spoilers, the helmet belongs to Mera, which is of course Aquaman's wife. In the story, she kills Mera and takes her helmet and wears it kind of like a trophy, and it's just so badass. This is a Wonder Woman that will freaking cut your head off and put it on a spike. She's a badass, and the armor is just awesome. I just love the design of the W / Eagle. I like the fact that they kind of lost the stupid, freaking swimsuit, bathing suit kind of aspect of Wonder Woman prior. Granted, prior to this, she had the, obviously the leather jacket and the pants. I wasn't really a big fan of that. I am a big fan of Flashpoint, so I have to put on the list. But moving off of that, going to number 3 on this list has to go to my personal favorite Superman story, Superman Red Sun. Wonder Woman is, of course, a major, well, not a major, but a specific supporting character in that storyline. Of course, spoilers if you don't know anything about Red Sun, is essentially, what if Superman landed in Soviet Russia and was raised by Soviet Russians in that kind of era? That's specifically what's going down in there. The entire DC universe is all Russian. Wonder Woman is freaking powerful, kind of like a love interest to Superman, Kal, and of course Batman is Batman still, but of course he's Russian and he's bent on destroying Superman and all that other real crazy stuff. But regardless of that, the suit and the outfit, completely badass. I love the redesign. It's of course the same swimsuit outfit. Of course, missing is obviously the classic American colors for the Russian colors, which I don't really think is that big of a problem. I just like how the design is slightly different, but mostly just the color scheme. But the color scheme works. It's kind of like Flashpoint, where you have the white eyes Batman for the red eyes Batman. It's just like something about red on these DC characters just looks cooler and more menacing and badass that I really appreciate. Wonder Woman is no exception. She looks like a badass killer with these black, red, and white grayish kind of colors. Just so badass. But moving off of that, and going into my number 2 pick on this list, has to go to New 52 Wonder Woman. I know a lot of people, specifically the female fan bases, have major problems with DC's interpretation of female superheroes, and Wonder Woman is obviously no exception. She obviously gets a lot of flack for her outfits throughout the many, 70 plus years of her character. She's gotten a lot of flack. New 52 outfit, same thing kind of goes, but I've always really liked the redesign. I know a lot of people have their various issues with New 52 designs. I like the New 52 redesign, specifically when it comes to like Batman and Wonder Woman and the Flash and specific characters like that, and Superman 2. I just like the redesigns. I don't know why. I guess the fact that they have this new modern age, or at least what we like to call today is the modern age of comics. It's just a good blend. And I like the fact that it's the same outfit, except it's just a different kind of color scheme. And the chest torso plates are replaced by the regular swimsuit with actual armor plating, which is so badass. And I like the fact that they changed the gold for silver platinum kind of plating over the chest, and of course the belt, and of course the stars have been changed a little bit. The color scheme's a little bit changed a little bit. It's more of a darker tone, but still very light and very Wonder Woman-esque. And I just really love the New 52 version. I just think it was really badass redesign for the character. Of course, people have their own various problems, but that's why it's a subjective list. It's my personal opinion. But moving off of that, I will be skipping the honorable mentions, mostly due to the fact that Wonder Woman, unlike Batman and Superman, hasn't really had the best, or at least I should say the most frequent redesigns of her character's suit. It's usually just really small details in the chest and or the color scheme, or rather the swimsuit versus the skirt armored plating. It just really depends on personal preference. But if I had to choose an honorable mention that did not get on this list that I really like, has to be the modern age Wonder Woman post Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's a pretty badass design. I like the design prior to Flashpoint with the jacket and the pants. Not my favorite, but definitely an honorable mention. And of course, the DC Infinite Crisis Jim Lee cover version of Wonder Woman, really badass look. And of course, in the comic book series itself, she looks really badass and cool. I'm just saying, like, the swimsuit outfit with a cape and a sword, the way Jim Lee draws it, it just speaks awesomeness. But that being said, moving off those kind of honorable mentions, that quick little list, let's put it out there. Let's just put it out there. The number one, for me at least, the best, most creative design, most badass looking Wonder Woman outfit out to date, for me, has to be post-Convergence Wonder Woman suit. This suit is basically the Wonder Woman suit I've always wanted. It's a good blend of her entire history brought to life. It's a complete redesign of what we think of Wonder Woman. They took away the stupid, ridiculous Amazonian outfit. They took out the ridiculous fucking swimsuit stuff, and they just gave her a realistic superhero outfit. Kind of similar to how they did with Black Canary and Supergirl. It's essentially like taking those suits, combining them to one. There you go, that's Wonder Woman. It's still the same torso kind of plating of the New 52. Still the same kind of design-esque, but of course she has a legitimate suit. It's a real suit that she can kick ass in, still look hot, still look badass. The color scheme is amazing. The design is amazing. It looks tactical. I love it to death. It's a badass, awesome suit. If there's one thing to look forward to, or at least look into, like, you did a pretty badass job, DC, if it was like a legitimate person. It's like, fuck yes with the Batman Jim Gordon suit. I don't know why, I just like the mech suit for some reason. That's just me. And of course, this suit. I mean, Superman, you can still say, like, he looks stupid, screw him. He's just wearing a t-shirt. Go F himself. This Wonder Woman outfit is badass. The tiara is awesome. The gauntlets are awesome. The suit's awesome. Everything about this suit just speaks badass awesomeness that we never really got in the past. This is a legitimate Wonder Woman suit for the future, and I like it. I hope they stick with the design. I'm pretty sure they're going to change it eventually, and I'm pretty sure by now they probably end up changing it. I don't know. I haven't kept the date with my Wonder Woman comic books as of right now because I've been such in a Batman versus Superman mood, specifically Batman. So I have to get up to date with that. But overall, this suit is my definitive favorite suit so far that Wonder Woman has wore in, whether it be any kind of otherworld kind of DC story or her main canon. This is definitively my personal favorite suit, and I consider it to be the best of her overall suits in the 70 plus years of the character. With that being said, this is a top 5 list. It's a subjective list. Comment below. Let me know what your personal list is for your top 5 Wonder Woman outfits. With that being said, this is a part of the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice top 5s. Once again, next time we're going to start off with Batman and go down the list of, best Batman, best Superman, best Wonder Woman, so on and so forth. Let me know down below in the comments what you personally think about my list and what your personal list is. Of course, follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you haven't done so already, at Josh12. Also, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Josh12.